All right, we're going to add into our properties of equality foldable the identity and the inverse. So let's first start with the identity. So when I'm talking about the additive or the addition identity, I'm looking at what is equal to itself. So if I take B, what can I add to B that just remains the same? This is called the identity. So in addition, that is 0. So if I take anything plus 0, that remains that same thing. Because of the commutative property, I can also say, well, I can do 0 plus whatever number, and that'll still equal that number. So 0 is my additive identity. If I'm talking about multiplication, my identity is, okay, what multiplied by itself is still itself. In multiplication, that is 1. That's my identity. And again, because of that commutative property, I could say or and reverse it. 1 multiplied by B is still B. Either way, 1 is my multiplicative identity. 0 is my additive identity. So that comes into play when I start talking about inverse operations. So let's look at the inverse. So if I'm going to talk about the additive inverse, my question is, what adds to equal the identity? Now, if I go back, my addition identity is 0. So my question is, what adds to equal the identity? So in this case, if I'm given B, my inverse would be negative B. Inverse numbers. This is also called the opposite. If we want, we can also say this is the subtraction. That's my inverse operation. Okay, if I'm talking about the multiplicative inverse, my question is, what multiplies to equal the identity? And again, if I go back, my identity for multiplication is 1. So my question is, what multiplies to equal? So if I'm given B, my multiplicative inverse is if I have 1 over B. So this is called the reciprocal. So what this means is if I take my number and I flip it, that is the reciprocal. Operation-wise, from multiplication is division. We use these inverse operations when we're solving our equations.